Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be editing some selections from the wedding of Abigail and Matthew. These selections are the ones I use for my blog posts, which get rated 2 stars in Lightroom. These selections, once edited, can then be sent to the couple as a sneak peek or preview, as I prefer to call them. Typically, I'll select 10 to 20 photos and deliver them edited to the couple within 48 hours, or at least that's how I do it now. From 2020 to the end of 2022, I delivered same-day previews using my iPad, which was born out of the back of the pandemic and not wanting 500 emails from couples asking if they could see some photos. It was a busy time and doing the same-day previews was a brilliant idea, and I never had one email due to this. Genius stroke, if I do say so myself. I did think about continuing it, but I've since gone down the route of delivering previews within 48 hours. I think I'll do a future video on same-day previews, how to do them, the process, the workflow, and also the pros and cons to offering them on the same day. So stay tuned for that by subscribing. So today's video, like I said, we're going to jump into the Lightroom Classic in a moment, and you can watch my editing process and see everything I do to my images. Before I do that, my presets are currently not for sale, as I know I'll get asked. Right, let's dive into the preview edit of Abigail and Matthew at Beamish Hall. Right guys, so we're here on the computer, so I'm just going to switch over to Lightroom now, so hopefully you can see that. I'm up in the corner, lovely. So what I'll do is, I might have to actually turn me off for a second. There we go. So today we've got Abigail and Matthew. Like I said, we've got 62 previews to edit. I mean, these days, like I said, I tend to do 10 to 20. These are the blog selects. These are actually on the website, so this is what I would sort of use as a preview. There's a couple of images I want to quickly go over because some of them are TIFFs, so I won't be editing them again. So that's these two here and then this two here. So I'm going to give you a quick look at why they are TIFFs. So the original raw file, you can sort of see in the background here, if I go to 100%, there's like a scarf, a bag, mum's hat, and it just looks a bit messy, so I used generative fill in Photoshop and removed them in the final photograph. Generative fill, man, honestly unbelievable. So I'm going to just take this away now, so 0, so we're just left with that one. And then on the other one, similar sort of thing. This was the original file, very cluttered. We've got the corner of the chair and the mirror here. We've got a radiator, plug socket, a light, and I just wanted the image to look loads cleaner. Bosh, done. How much cleaner does that look? You know, it's just worth putting that little bit of extra time in. This one took a little bit more work, but it was definitely worth it. So if I zero that out so that disappears, right. So we've got 60 photos, more like 58 because we won't be editing them 2 images. So what I'm going to do is just going to go and reset. Actually, I'll give you a quick look first. So that's the survey view of the entire 58 images or so. Bride prep through to the sparklers right at the end of the evening. So that's how I sort of edited them previously. We're going to jump into develop now. We're going to reset all them settings, and you're going to actually watch me edit these photos and how I would edit them. There's going to be plenty more of these. Let me bring myself back up. Where am I at? Webcam. So there's going to be plenty more of these photos behind the, what am I trying to say? Can I get my words out? How to edit wedding photos series. I have about 37 planned. So for those who like watching people editing, there'll be plenty coming up. So let's just dive in. I'm going to leave me in the top corner. Hopefully that doesn't distract too much. So if I come back over to here and let's go back into loop view. So we should be all right now. I am sort of blocking the settings. Should I move myself down on the fly? I think we should. Let's put myself down here. Does that work better, guys? Let me know if you want to do a live stream of a few edits in the future as well, and you can actually comment and chat with me while I edit. So let me know in the comments. Please like the video, subscribe, but like I said, comments as well. Drive that algorithm. If there's 10 people watching these, there's no point me spending this much time re-editing photos for you guys. So even just say hi. You know, you don't have to put a long-winded comment in. Just say hi, thanks for the video, quick like, It's not hard. Right, deselect. No, reselect. Let's get rid of these two and develop. Right, so sort of blocking the history states now. I cannot win. Where's best? Let's maybe put me over here. Let's just go right there. Right, so hopefully that's solved that. Right, so you can sort of see in history states what I'm going to be doing. And then you can sort of see in the histogram. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close the histogram just for speed. If I close the histogram, the photos load a little bit quicker. Plus I have the drive plugged in as well, so that'll slow it down. If I was just using the smart preview, it's very nice and snappy. But I am obviously recording my screen as well, so I have a feeling that's going to slow it down a bit. So if you want to see the settings, they'll be up here in the corner. There you go. So obviously this shot was taken at 3/20th of a second, f2.8, ISO 100. So let's reset all the photos. Reset. Let's jump back to grid view and just watch them reset themselves. Why they're not resetting? Have I not got... Oh, they are. They're just taking their time. Again, I'm obviously recording my screen, so it's just going quite slow. I've never seen it do this before. Anywho, right, let's start. So usually what I do actually when I'm editing is I'll select every photo, put my preset on, and then adjust my white balance and tints through the library module, which is up here. So temperature and tint. So let's say you've got 10 photographs and they've all got different white balance and tints. If I just go select all and go to develop and change the tint and the white balance, that's going to be the same white balance and tint for every photo. However, let's show you what I mean. So if I go to the basic panel, so this photo is 5000 temp and 9 on the tint. The next one is 4750. The next one's 4850 plus 11. So all I would do, even if this has 100 images, this is what I do. I would select the entire wedding and then I go to develop, place my preset on the photos. Again, it's a little slow, so I am sorry. That's just because of the screen recording. I might try in the future video just editing off the smart previews, but I want to be able to zoom into 100% if I need to. So that's my preset on. So now if I go back, what I tend to find with my preset and how I built it is if I go to temperature, I'm going to add make warmer twice on this single arrow, not the double arrow. So I'm going to press 1, 2. So then sometimes I'll put 3 on, depends on if it's outside or what have you. And then I put 2 of these tint more magentas, so 1, 2. And then I press the double arrows, so tint more magenta once. And already you can sort of see the photos coming how I want it. So now if I go back to develop and I come back out and I've come to here, you can sort of see the temperature and tint 56, 63 and 37, 53, 59 and 37, 54, 80 and 40. So I do that so that I add a certain amount of warmth and magenta on top of their current values within the raw file. So that's a major tip there. Like, it was worth watching this video just for that if you didn't know how to do that. So you can sort of see just from those 3 photos, if I go into survey mode, I mean technically they're done. I mean in the originals I think I made them black and white, but they're pretty much good to go. So I've got my editing down pretty well, to be fair. So let's convert these to black and white. So develop black and white. And then I think what I did in the original files, I straightened this up. Yeah, I probably did. I think what I actually did, if I undo that, is I actually did a guided. So to go off the corner here, just drag it down, and then off this corner here, and then across the top. So we'll straighten this out and get something like that. Let's have a check on those. Let's bring this down a bit. Yeah, there we go. Right. If you hold shift on your keyboard as well, and then you'll get this icon, and then you can click and hold your mouse and you can just drag to zoom. So I do that quite a lot. So you'll find me, I try to work with a lot of white space around the images just so I can sort of see them a bit better. Right, so next tip. I used to use P-Fixer on the keyboard, which give me shortcuts on the keyboard. So you'll very rarely see me use the actual mouse on the settings here. So P-Fixer unfortunately is no longer supported. So I actually found a new bit of software called Power Keys. So Power Keys looks like this, and as you can sort of see, I use the square brackets for temperature, and then the apostrophes for tint. Exposure I use minus and equals, which plus and minus at the top. And then for contrast, if I want to use it, I use the comma of period. I see it as the arrows, basically. So all of my main settings I ever want to use on the right hand side of my keyboard. So plus, minus, temperature underneath that, tint underneath that, contrast underneath that. So simple. And they've just released a new version with some other stuff on as well. But I literally only need these 4 things. So if I press minus on the keyboard now, you'll start to see my exposure go down, which is what I want it to do. So I'm just trying to tackle the highlights section on this part of her dress and keep the mood of the photo. Right, next photo. Again, we're good. If we wanted to keep this colour, it's probably a little warm, I can just pull that down a little bit magentas, pull them out, but then have to decrease. So there's quite a bit of exposure down the bottom here. So I am going to go back to black and white where I was, straighten it up, and then all I need to do is go to burn. So that's just adding a 0.5 burn. If you dodge or burn anything, be careful if you're going over 0.50, because that's sort of where your eye will naturally allow you to not see it. If you go beyond that, it can look a bit like, yeah, you've created this really like obvious vignette. So I'm just going to drag this up. H on the keyboard will display that. H will hide it. H on the keyboard is quite a good one if you're using the quick heal, and you know, like sometimes you'll see, let's have an example. So if I create that, I can now go over that again, but sometimes people have this and they can't go over it. Just press H on the keyboard and now suddenly you can. Hey, full of little tips today. Right, let's get rid of that because we don't want to put a mask on there. Right, third image, let's move on. Honestly, that looks good to go. Let's see what it looked like before. So that was it before, that's it now. If anything, it's probably a bit better because it's got a little bit more magenta in it. So colour, I think I did this one originally black and white. Straighten, let's have a look. Yeah, get away with that. Again, I would usually press E on the keyboard, come back to the library module, 2 ticks on the temperature, 2 ticks on tint, 1 on the giant tint, and then back to develop. And as you can see, pretty much good to go. If I decrease the exposure a little bit, because I'm always looking for the highlights. So this is why I do it on the entire set. Once I've culled a wedding, I select every single photo, press the preset, add the temperatures, add the tints, then I go through every single image separately, because I don't want to be going in each image one at a time and then going back to temperature and tint and having to redo it. So that's it in colour. I think I did in black and white, so let's click black and white. That's nice. Let's move on. Straighten that up straight away because it was wonky as. Colour, still a little bit wonky to be fair. And then what I'll do is I'll just manually adjust this one for now. So if I put some warmth in and then some magentas. So again, I'm just using the keyboard. You can sort of see in the history here what I'm doing. So that's it there. So you can just manually quickly do it like that. But if I just come back to as shot and press E and then put these temperature values in, pretty much it'll be done. Good to go. Next photo. Now what I'm going to do is, should we just do it for this one? Yeah, let's do it. So I'm going to select every photo, colour, because even if we get the white balance right in the colour and then it convert to a black and white, that's still better for the photo, because white balance and tint still affects a photo even though it's a black and white. So let's go out of here, let's add on the temperatures, add on the tints, develop, and then sort of we'll work from there. So quick sip of my coffee. Lovely. I'll make it full screen just for you guys so you can see as well. Sorry, if you want me to make the interface smaller or something so you can see a bit better for future videos, just let me know. So this photo, again, it's a little bright back here, so sorry, that's totally organic. I just work like this all the time, zoomed out so I can see the colours better. So I'll try and keep it like that. So if I bring the exposure down a bit, it's probably a little bit on the too warm side. So I'm just going to back it off a little bit here and probably take out a tiny bit of magenta. Q on the keyboard, anything like this, it needs to go. If it's easy as well, like there's no excuse, just get rid. Especially with the clone tool now. I mean, 3-4 years ago, take this into Photoshop. If I was putting this on the website as well, I'd probably take time to get rid of things like this up here. like these lights. So I get a shot of these. Now my computer's usually quite fast, you know. It just shows recording your screen does eat a lot of resources. So sorry if it's a bit slow. Cool. Yeah, we go. I'm happy with that. Right. That looks not too bad to me. I might even just add a bit of dodge. So I have subject pop and I created that. It's just plus 30 exposure, plus 5 highlights. So I might just draw that in from the opposite side just to pull a little bit more in. Okay, next image. So K on the keyboard gives me a brush. So I'm just going to add a bit of exposure into this part of the image. And then let's go black and white. This bit's a bit distracting at the side. So I'm just going to pull in and just draw that attention. Lovely. Should I try ejecting the drive and then work off the smart previews and see if that's even faster? Let's give it a whirl. So if I eject 2023, right, then hopefully that's a bit faster. So next image, cool. So this is what it looked like. So slightly straighter, bit brighter. If anything, it's a little green. So much better how I have it now. Getting that up, no. So a little bit of a rotate and just try and straighten that up a little. So it's funny how your editing styles change over the years. When I was first starting out, honestly, everything had to be as bright as possible. It's ridiculous. Whereas now, I very much look for a bit of mood and atmosphere in the photos. Try to preserve highlights. I mean, back when, in 2018, I'd have probably been like lifting this up to like there. But it just loses all the atmosphere in the photograph. So maybe it's a tiny bit there. I think in the original, I might have gotten rid of the blue bow here. Did I? Oh, I didn't. I think I did on one particular photo though. But stuff like this, scissors, bits on the table, you should be taking time to get rid of them if you're going to be putting it on the blog, or especially if it's a portfolio image. Just take the time to really finesse those images. I mean, there's no excuse now. The Lightroom tool is quite good now for like masking. That's loads quicker, isn't it, since we took the drive offline. It's not just me. So let's see if we can get rid of this. Not as good. Let's try a more broad selection and see what it does. I mean, you can take this into Photoshop and just do a generative fill and you'll be golden. Do you know what? I'm happy with that. It just looks a little bit better than it did before. This could be quite obviously be seen as a reflection. That's not a problem. So just getting rid of those, it looks so much better. If you wanted to, you could probably go into generative fill in Photoshop and remove all of this. TV screens especially, I mean, they're quite distracting, aren't they? So I'm absolutely dying. My throat's I think I'm getting a cold. Ugh, right, let's move on. So that was the image I said was the TIFF. Reset that. So that's how I originally did it, and then I need to put the color on. Well, actually, I can probably just leave it as it was, so that's fine. And then let's just move on. Get rid of that. Okay, so this image had quite a bit of work, and it's one of my favorite images actually. So if I show you what it looked like before, so it was black and white, straightened up. We got rid of the signs on the door. We got rid of the bride's sister. So let's straighten that up. So straighten's done the job straight away. We've got to crop the sister out, sorry. And then let's pull this down a little bit. Was that similar framing? Let's have a look. Yeah. So as you can see, we've gotten rid of this sign. I think we got rid of these plugs and that plug thing up here as well. So let's create black and white. Now obviously we need to brighten up this side, so we're just going to pull a little bit in first, and then I'm going to do a second one with a burn, and I'm going to come from this side, and we just need to pull the highlights down on the bride and a little bit of exposure. Again, don't go past 0.5 or it's quite noticeable. I'm going to press shift and the funny looking S key, I've got no idea what that key is, next to the number 1, and I have that set up for subject masking. I'm going to subtract the bride, so we've only got it on dad. So now I'm just going to create a subject pop and just lift him out. So if I turn that on and off, we are spoiled as wedding photographers now, being able to just mask subjects like this. It's just a game changer. So I'm probably going to lift it a little bit more, and then I'll do one more quite widespread. So if I bring up and then I'm just going to add in a little bit more exposure to the entire right side of the frame. And then what I'm going to do is press minus to back the entire image exposure down. So we're getting there. Let's have a look at it before where are we at? Done quite a lot there, haven't we? So sharpen there. So that's what it was like before. That's it now. Before, now. So if anything, we've gone a bit too far down. So let's just go up a little bit. And then let's just remove the plug sockets. If you're thinking this is a little bit anal, this is the sort of effort you need to go to just make your images have that extra 1% betterness. Betterness? Is that a word? So I'm just going to zoom in, hold shift, drag, Q. Q on the keyboard brings this up. When you've got a white door like this should be really simple to just get rid of this label. Like, if you're leaving these labels in, I mean, sometimes you might find a couple of my images with them in, and that maybe just being a bit lazy there, or I just haven't seen them, but should be getting rid of them. Especially portfolio images, and this is one of my portfolio images. I mean, that took no time at all. So there, we're pretty good to go on that image. Looks nice. I might press a brush, hide all the others, and I'm just going to draw the attention with a large dodge. Just one more into there. Just very subtle, 0.16. So before, after. Right, Dad obviously gets to the bride, which is Abigail, for a nice hug. Really nice. So anything where the edges have a little bit of shadowing like this, it really distracts me. So straight away I'm cropping that in a bit. Lovely. Honestly, it's good to go, isn't it? Before and after. I might add again that little bit of dodge there just to the front. It's just about being subtle with things. Don't like be heavy-handed. Next image, sepia tone there. I must have applied the preset over the top. I did. So just go back to the black and white, which is this is the TIFF, so we won't be editing this one. So here we go. That is pretty much exactly how I shot it before. So if I come back to sharpening, and then before, and then now, before, and then now, like, it's much better now, to be fair. The only difference is I removed the fire extinguisher lights at the top. Nice and easy, done. Yeah, let's move on. So you can see, if you get your preset right, and then you can just add your temperatures and tints at the beginning. It depends on your preset, but for me and how I work, I can edit a full gallery, and if I just work solid, probably like a few hours. It doesn't take very long. So this image was black and white. We could, if we want to, just raise the exposure and then pretty much nearly good to go. But we'll just go black and white. Did I straighten this image? No, I definitely did not, but I'll probably rotate it slightly. Let's have a look at the sharpen. I say sharpen because I applied sharpen to all of these images just so I knew what was the last thing I did before we did this video. So if I want to go back to where they were, I can just click on the sharpen in the history and it's back to how it was after this video. But I'm hopefully just going to try and stick with the editing we do on this video, just so I know every image is actually being edited and up to date as of February 2024. So let's move on. Right, so again, this was black and white, so that was it out of camera, I believe. So let's just rotate this a little bit. We're going to straighten it up. Bit of exposure again, plus on the keyboard. Black and white, pretty much good to go. We could add a subject pop, so again, just saw that happen there. I'm just going to subtract that off the groom, nice and easy. And if I put that on and off, just very subtle, just lifting them up a little bit. Okay, next image. Again, I think this was black and white. It was. Quite like it in colour actually. Let's have a look. The thing is, we've got Matthew facing the light, so he's got this very hard light on his forehead, and obviously Abigail and Dad are in the shadow. So let's try a subject pop, and then I'll take this to the full 0.5. I'm going to take it off Matthew, and that looks a bit better straight away. Nice. So this is why I zoom out, so I can actually see the full extent. I find when it's this big, I sometimes struggle to see the colours properly. So that looks nice. Things like this, little white mark on his jacket, 2-second job, click it, get rid of it. Should we go black and white how it was? Yeah, go on. Try and stick to how they were. Right, next two photos are black and white again. So just a nice photo of the gent's hands, down with the exposure. I'm gonna crop in slightly up to the bottom of the toe. Don't be doing this, guys. This winds me up something rotten when toes are cut off, especially in couple portraits. If I show you some of my early work back in 2018, I am guilty of this. Like, I'll have the couple's head in the middle, then the body, and then they'll be just cut off at the top of the thighs or something, or like they might be a bit further up and cut off at the the shin bones. Just back up, pan down slightly. If the top of your frame is completely empty, just fill it, man. Right, next one. Again, this was a black and white image, but do you know what? That's why I like revisiting photos. I'm going to do a video on the channel about revisiting past work that you might think is it's dead, it's gone, there's nothing in there. Honestly, I go back all the time. I was in 2019 folder the other day, and I found some nice photos that I thought I put my current edit on, and it just made them sing. And there's one of them's actually now in my portfolio. So I'll do a video on that at some point about revisiting old images. So see if we can line this up so it looks good. If the colour looks off to you guys a little bit, it might be that I'm not seeing the colours properly. I've got two Elgato lights shining in my face, so hopefully they look fine. I mean, let's block them out a little bit. Yeah, it looks alright to me. If anything, I might add a tad more magenta. Okay, move on. This one, I think I did black and white. I did. Again, which I'm quite a fan of colour, to be fair. I tend to only use black and white if it's got like an emotional piece to it. I'm going to add a bit more warmth to this image. Too much there. Go on, let's go black and white. So again, if you're struggling with the colour tones, sometimes it's just easier to black and white it, isn't it? Right, straight away, I'm just going to crop this in a tiny bit. Nice. Pull that exposure down. Alright, and it needs a little bit more magenta and a little bit more warmth. Nice. Let's move on. Again, this was in colour. I'm just going to lift it up. Bit more magenta, a little bit more warmth. And again, I'm just using my keys. I've literally got my index finger on the quotation marks, and I've got this finger on the square brackets, and I just move between them. It's like very quick, nice and easy. Arrow to the next image. Again, this was black and white, so I'm just going to press black and white. So it's quite bright down here. His face is obviously in a bit of shadow, so I'm just going to create a brush and just draw that in. We could obviously just create a face mask and all that, but it's just a bit quicker sometimes. I'm going to rotate it. I'm just going to sort of try and line these bits of the wall up. Yeah, not too bad. Let's move it on. Again, let's just lift this up. Tiny bit more warmth, tiny bit magenta, a little bit of a dodge. Quite bright down here, so I might add a little bit of a burn. I know it's a bit strong at the minute, don't worry. I'm going to back that off. Nice. Add a bit more magenta. There we go. Next image. Again, apart from applying the preset and adjusting temperature and tint, you can see I don't do too much apart from controlling how bright certain parts are in the images. I mean, that image there, apart from a tiny exposure jump of 0.2, that's good to go. So from that to that. Moving on. Again, needs rotating, just straightening up. Nice. Bit bright, so let's pull it down. Bit more magenta, a little bit more warmth. Next image, just increase the exposure a tiny bit, and then a bit more magenta. Actually, I'm going to bring exposure back down. I feel like I need to crop in a slight bit. Yes, a little bit more magenta. Again, I think that was practically as is. Yeah, there was a tiny crop, but apart from that, I might add a bit more colour and magenta in there. Job done. Let's crop this in. So if you notice on my crops as well, I use this overlay. So if I press, I think it's a J or O, or press O on the keyboard while in crop mode, and it'll give you different crop overlays. So most people have the rule of thirds. I like to use this one because then I just find I can line things up a bit better. So right, in this original image, this is what annoys me when I've got a dark element at the edge of the frame like this. It's quite annoying. So I'm just going to crop that in a bit more just to get rid of it. Straight away, loads cleaner. Right, so it's a bit bright, so I'm going to pull the exposure back. A bit more magentas. So when you're around a lot of trees and grass, that's a lot of light reflecting off that green back into the skin tone, so you will have to add magentas. A bit more warmth. I'm just going to quickly switch off the Elgato lights just so I can see this properly. So if I take this off the wall, there we go. Right, I'm in darkness. Actually, you can still see me, can't you? Sure, I might just leave this off. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, so a bit more magenta, a bit more warmth. Yeah, them lights would definitely affect my eyes. I feel like I actually need to move away from the computer for half an hour and come back. Yeah, obviously it doesn't look very sharp at the minute, but that's because we're just working off a smart preview and we're at 214%. We haven't got the actual hard drive plugged in, so I can assure you these are sharp and crisp. So I have a quick look at the other photos. They look alright, to be fair. But obviously if you've got to see, that's a little bit green here. So let's add some more magentas back into this one. This is where you don't want to be working with a light in your face. I'll have a look at these again at the end maybe. Right, so we've got this image done, so I'm going to move to the next image, and then I have the funny S key next to number 1 on my keyboard. I have that set as paste previous, so it's just like pressing this previous button here. So I'm just going to press that, and straight away I get all of the same changes that I've just done to that previous image, but it saves me doing most of the work. And then I'm just looking at their faces, and now see this is too bright, so I'm going to create a burn gradient at the bottom of the image and just see if we can control those highlights a bit more. Not too bad. Pull the exposure down a little bit. Might add a little dodge over Matthew, and then again he's got a black tux suit type thing on, so it does pick up a lot of whites. So just fix his suit a little bit. Cool. So that's a button on his suit, you know, but I feel like it looks like a bit of a distraction, so I'm just going to get rid of it. And look, one there as well. Nice. Abigail still looks a bit bright, so I'm just going to pull that down a bit more again. Yeah, that's loads better. Just going to drag this down a bit more. Looking good. Right, so we were here. Let me have a look. So that's how it was before, and yeah, it's too green, whereas now much better. So, and this was only edited when was this? July last year. So you always improve and you're always getting better, and how you perceive color and light is always changing, so it's always worth going back and having a look at things. I'm a big stickler for consistency, so in the past whenever I've changed my preset, I've then re-edited every single photo that I tagged as 2 stars, which were blog images, re-edited every single thing, and then re-uploaded every blog page. So if I've got 40 different blog pages, or 50 or 60, I redid every single one. So it takes weeks, but you've got to be stickler for consistency. You've got to have that. You don't want people looking at work and going, oh, I like that, but it's completely different to how you work now. So you need to have everything consistent so people have that trust and they know what they're going to get. Right, next image. Again, I'm just going to paste previous. It will take over the spot heels, so I'm just going to press reset on that and get rid of them. Let's move up a little. Looks a little bit cockeyed, so let's move it over a bit. Nice. So I think there was a tiny sprinkling of rain, so that's what, I can't remember. I might be, yeah, I think it was, there was a tad bit of rain coming, so there's a few little drops in the air, so I'm just gonna get rid of them. Again, that might have been what was on his jacket. Nice. Let's have a look. Little one up here. So again, this is the sort of level you need to be going to for your blog images, because the way I treat it, if it's 2-star and it's blog worthy, I don't mind showing it to anybody. So that needs to be like as perfect as it can be. I mean, we could go and be really anal and take out things like bits of confetti on the floor and stuff like that. I'm not going to, so don't worry. I mean, I took that one bit out, but we'll leave it there. Okay, so let's just do this manually. So just pull it down. We can sort of gauge off. We had 64 tint, 63 on the temp. So straight away, this one needs more magentas. You can see there's a lot of green because we're surrounded by green, so that's why. I'm going to add in a little exposure bump on the subjects, and then I'm going to probably subtract it off Abigail. I'll do that by subtracting the person. I mean, that is ridiculous. Like a few years ago, oh my god, it took ages to do that. So now that mask is only applying to Matthew. I mean, we could just did a subject mask on Matthew to start with, but you know, it's just a 6 and 2 freeze, in my opinion. Lovely. Right, and then I think we did this in black and white. So open my presets up. I'm quite overexposed there. So take it down 2 stops. So I'm trying not to get these. I'm not sure what this is. It's maybe his tie. I'm just trying to get the hand in. Nice. A brush, reset it, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of clarity and a tiny bit of sharpness, and just drop that over the ring. Good to go, I would say. Just going to get rid of these. Can you see me? Can you see me all right in this corner? Shall I put the lights back on? Go on, we'll leave the lights on. It does affect my eyesight, but we'll have a look. Pardon me. Right, should we have a little look at that set? So yeah, looking nice. So if I get rid of the black and white, we can make them a bit bigger. So this is another trick. I was going to do a video on it. I might still. Tips for consistent editing. and it's after a few images, select that sort of scene, put it into survey mode and look at it as a whole, and does it match up for consistency. So to my eye, this one's probably a tiny bit brighter than the rest, and these two are very similar images. So I think initially I probably made one of these black and white, so I'll go back and make one black and white. So let's make this one black and white. Just pull that exposure down a little bit, and then this one, let's bring the exposure down a bit more as well. So now if we go back to survey mode, then it looks pretty nice. Yeah, it's looking good. Right, let's carry on, develop. I'm going to touch on grain for a second, because you might see if I zoom in, you can sort of see grain. Obviously it's going to look a lot nicer if the hard drive was connected, and we can actually see everything properly. But I add grain. The 35mm 1.4 G master lens that I use, and obviously the A9 sensor and what have you, the images are so sharp, to my eye as well, like too sharp. So I add the grain just to blend all the colours together a little bit better, and to just soften it and just give it a little bit more of a natural feel. Just take away some of that digital feel from my images. So I never used to use grain too much, but over the last, when I started rebuilding my preset, I added it in. So if you don't use grain, that's great, and if you do, that's great as well. Right, needs magentas, needs a bit more warmth, pull that down. So this guy back here is distracting me, so goodbye. Let's just lift this up, loads better. Yep, this one was black and white, I can see from the thumbnail. So again, I have a shortcut button on my Sony, so if I hold the button at the back, I think I've got it set as the AEL button, it basically goes into F8. So sometimes I want to create like a bit of a more depth of field, more of a documentary type vibe, I'll use F8, so you can sort of see here. So I'm just going to create that in black and white, and then just pull the exposures a little bit. Okay, let's straighten this image up. Again, that's sort of out of camera, tiny bit magenta because we're in a white room, so I'll just pull that off a little bit. So you can sort of see as I add my warmths. So if I take my warmth away, if we concentrate on this part of the image here, you can sort of see it adds it in. I'm trying to get rid as much as possible of the band, so I have to bring that up a little bit. So that's pretty nice. So before and after, nice and clean. Shall we see what it looked like before? So I had it a lot more white, whereas now it sort of matches more my ink-keeping style, because obviously these were delivered middle of last year. This is sort of why I'm doing these videos as well. It's educational for you guys, or you might just put it on the background while you're working yourselves, but I get to update all my images as well. So right, you can sort of see it's dark in the back, bright at the front. That's because of the windows. So straight away we need to fix and balance that out a little bit. So I'm just going to pull a gradient down, and probably a second one. Don't worry about it, we'll fix the image in a sec. And pull this back down. Pull a tiny bit of warmth out, so it looks good to me. Again, just go in, take out fire signs, bane of our lives, take this one out at the top. So quick these days, there's like, you should be taking them out. I mean, I would take these things out as well. I have done in previous videos, but I'll leave them in for a date. Right, moving on. So we can see these next three images with black and whites. So anytime sort of photographing dress details, black and whites tends to look nice. So if I pull this down, nice. I actually might pull it down a little bit more. There we go, black and white. Exposure down, just going to straighten it up a little bit. Again, got this fire sign in the background. That'll be good enough for me, I would say. Might be able to get rid of this one here. Lovely jubbly. Next one, again, straighten it up. Yeah, a little bit of exposure. So that was before, after, the black and white. Sort out our friends over here. Not bother with the sign there because you can't quite see it, but let's see what it does. It's pretty good these days, isn't it? Let's have a look. It's unbelievable. Right, big black speaker there. Might struggle to get this rid of, but let's have a go. Yeah, it looks a bit naff. Probably do that in Photoshop. Let's crop it in slightly. Nice. Moving on. Pretty much good to go, that. Out the camera. Might crop this up a little bit. Nice. I can see it's purple, so I just need to fix that a little bit. So let's take away some purple. add some warmth. Turn the lights off so I can see this properly. That'll do me. The wall looks a bit dirty here, so I'm just going to fix it. Again, let's just straighten this up. Bit more warmth, less magentas. Yeah, it looks fine. Just have a drink of coffee. I think I made this a black and white originally, so it's one click, guys. Again, black and white. I'm going to add a subject pop to all of them and then just pull the rest of the image down a little bit. Again, I think that was shot more documentary-ish. F8, get everything in focus. Right, let's see where we were with this one. So we went black and white before, so let's crop it in, black and white. Again, we're probably going to have to deal with the back of the dress being so bright. So let's do a people selection, and then I'm just going to select clothes. Again, it's just crazy, isn't it? Like, you can do this. And then I'm just going to subtract the top of her dress, so we just sort of want to affect the bottom. Reset this, and then I'm just going to drag export highlights down, and then just add a little bit of exposure as well. So create a bit of a black line here. So I'm just going to add a brush, drop the flow slightly, and then I'm just going to add around it a little bit, and then it looks good to me. Okay, let's pull this over a little bit. I'm going to add a bit of purple, well, magentas, sorry. That looks nice to me. Straighten this bad boy up. So I'm just sort of going to try and get the same sort of spacing between each column bit there. Right, let me turn this light out. I need to be able to see this properly. Bit more warmth, some more magentas, pull the exposure down, and then I'm just going to add a highlight pull, an exposure pull on the bottom of the dress. So we've got before, after, looking nice. And this was the actual image that was submitted to Tatler magazine. So, right, this was black and white. Pull this over. So my composition was off a bit here because it was a fast action first dance. You just picked her up and started spinning her. So the composition was off a little bit there. Okay, nice. So Abigail then got changed to this cool looking jumpsuit. So we just went and grabbed a couple more photos. So it looks like daytime, but it was actually like, it sort of was daytime still, but it was getting on a little bit. You sort of see from the next image, it's like, it was more, if I drag this down, it was sort of like that sort of brightness outside. Right, so was this black and white originally? It was, but I think I'm going to leave it colour. So let's fix it. Add more warmth, add more magenta, probably exposure, and then it needs to come in a little bit. Cool. Okay, next image. This guy living his best life. Love it. So let's add some warmth, some more magentas. Let's pull the exposure. Bit less magenta actually. Looks good to me. Right, these images were definitely black and white. Dance floor. Sort of got some, you know what, dance floors are dance floors, aren't they? Pain in the butt. Let's put that light back on. Black and white. And then, actually, if I reset this image, you can see I have a dance floor preset. So this dance floor preset is basically the color preset, but then it adds the subject pop. So if I just press it once, so that's a done, but it also adds the subject pops. So I've got that already baked in. So now I just sort of need to fix the white balance. What I might do, sorry, I need to turn this light off, I cannot see. I'm just going to update the exposure a little bit to 0.5. So this was black and white originally, but I actually don't mind it in colour. Yeah, so that was it in black and white, and this is it in colour. I think I'm going to leave it in colour. You know, we make things black and white too often just to save images. I will, especially if it's like Barney the dinosaur and the entire purple's purple. So that was in black and white. But again, it's quite nice in colour. So if I paste previous from the other shot, yeah, see, it looks quite nice, doesn't it? I feel like it's got more impact. That's more magenta. This was black and white as well. So I'm going to paste previous. We're getting there. We're nearly at the end. Again, I'm just quite liking the colour. Like, so it was colour before, but we cropped it in slightly because, yeah, we don't need that bit there, do we? That was black and white. I know it was. Sharpened. Oh no, it was colour. I definitely did a version in black and white at some point. So let's paste previous. Let's pull this across. Pretty good. Paste previous. So once you get to a certain scenario like the dance floor that we've got here, paste previous is quite easy. So this is what I mean about Barney the dinosaur. You're gonna have to go black and white with that. Like, unless you're happy to leave it like that, but black and white sort of solves everything. I have a fixed purples preset here as well. So sometimes it's not happening on this photo, but you'll get fringing. I will sort of see it here on this lady here. So you can sort of see this fringing. So that's more from oranges. but sometimes it'll happen with purples, so here as well. So it's not quite fixing it on this image, but sometimes it's like really pronounced, and we can fix that by just going into the color settings and sorting that out. But I might put it on anyway just to see if it will fix certain bits. But yeah, it's looking quite nice. Next image, again, this was a black and white, so let's just paste previous. I'm just going to drag this in a tiny bit, export it down. That one was it black and white? Yeah. So let's paste previous. Also, the exposure needs to come up a little bit. So I'm quite happy with the exposure at the bottom. So I sort of need to fix the top. So if I just draw in some exposure, and let's just add a little bit more. Pretty good. I like it. Right. We're nearly there. Colour in 2 black and whites. So that is pretty much how it was before. If I reset the sharpening, so that's how I had it before. So it was a little bit warmer, and there's probably, I must have added a little bit more contrast back because it's quite hazy. So if I add a little bit more colour, and then I usually never use anything other than the keyboard shortcuts I've been using, which is basically exposure and tint and temp, and then possibly contrast, but most of the time the contrast stays as is. But if it's in a scenario like this where it's quite hazy because of the smoke, we can add a little bit of dehaze. Oh, sorry, this was the TIFF as well, and this is a TIFF because there was a lot of furniture, etc., and I removed it all, so they were just more isolated, so we'll not be able to see that edited. And then this image, so again, if I just reset, that's sort of out of the camera with the edit. It was black and white before. I might actually make this colour, so I just pull the exposures down, a bit more magenta, warm it up, and it looks quite nice. That's what it looked like in black and white. Obviously I just might adjust the exposures a little bit, but quite happy with it in colour actually. Looks quite nice. So that is it. We're done. That is the entire set, re-edited. How long have we been going? Shit, over an hour. Wow, sorry about that. I'll try and make the other one shorter. I'll maybe do like 20-minute jobs, 30-minute jobs. If this has kept you entertained, lovely. Let me go over the full screen. So thanks for watching, guys. Add some light. I'll see you in the next one. There's about 35 more to come. Again, I'll try and keep them a bit shorter. It's when you're talking, it goes on a little bit longer. I'll maybe try and edit the full next set how I usually would, and it'll probably take us like 20 minutes. So, right, see you in the next video. Let me finish this recording, and see you later. Toodaloos.